as you can see, quite a bit has been done on the S197 drift build, and there's been a lot going on, and so I haven't been able to cover a bunch of the stuff, and Ronnie's basically just been hammering it out as much as he can while I've been doing stuff on the side with the wiring and the engine and all that stuff. So I'm going to go over what he's done, and we're going to get some other stuff done today as well, like getting the drivetrain back in. But for now, let's check out what he's done. So this entire section that you had seen cut off, he made an entire removable upper core support. So a couple bolts here, one there, and then the intercooler rides on some bushings down here. It's kind of hard to see them, they're small, but rides on some bushings down there, and got the inner fenders all cut out. I think I had shown you guys that, but anyway, those are all cut out, and everything is cut off that doesn't need to be there. But that structure came out so nice. But yeah, literally you just undo the bolts and the whole thing lifts off with the intercooler, so all that entire front clip can just come right off, and there's all the room in the world to get in there. So that's the front. The 2F Performance quarters came in. The rear quarters are back, or the front quarters are back or over there as well. But I got all these drilled, mounted up, so it's all riv nutted back there, and got the taillights mounted and all that on those. So those are ready to, be put on, taken off, all that stuff. While we're continuously fabbing stuff on the car, I'm going to leave them off just so they don't potentially get damaged. But anyway, let's move on to the rear. We'll start with the inside. So this is actually, the battery tray is under there. So this, as you can see, is hinged, and the battery is actually going to be mounted to that, and you can lift the battery up from underneath the car. And that side, I have a cover plate sitting over there that will be bolted on. We also have a hinge as well. That's just going to be like an access panel for the water pump and coolant lines and stuff like that. That's going under there. Just if we ever need to get to it, it's there. And then the rear bulkhead, I need to seam seal it, but it is all, permanent and mounted in. And then he made these crazy rear quarters out of a single piece of sheet metal here. That way it blocks off the entire inside of the car. Now this is all body work that was done previously, so I'll be filling all these holes in with some body leveler, just to make this a little bit smoother, more presentable, and to not let stuff get inside the body. As you can see, all the riv nuts that I have in the car to mount the quarters. And then this is the rear section that he made. So you got our bash bars, our main support structure with a jack point, his logo, our 10-gallon radium fuel cell, which I already made a couple of lines, and a bulkhead, our AN20 bulkhead, because you can see the radiator mounts there, and up here is where the radiator will be. And I'll put that in here in a second. And he was making this shroud. This is kind of temporary. He says he wants to redo it, so just to refine it and make it a little bit better, but this is basically a rough draft of it. And it looks really good, honestly, as it is. But he says he has another idea to make it even better, so why not? But yeah, so that's kind of the overview of everything that Ronnie's been up to and been doing on the car fab work-wise. And now we can get back to getting other stuff done so that we can take it back to him for more fab work. So I'm going to throw the radiator in, and then we're going to get this drivetrain back in and go from there. I don't know, maybe I'll do some other stuff, but for now, this is the main goal. So this is what we're gonna go ahead and do. Okay, so I got the radiator mounted, new fan, and the first AN20 lines ran. So got, I can't really see. There's like a 90 up in here. Bada bing, bada boom, goes across and down into the bulkhead. So we got all that set up. So now we need to move on to the drivetrain. As I say, we got a hole in here. Hello. Why is it black? Oh, there it goes. Now it's in focus. Hello. Hello. So yeah, now gotta just weed through the garage here. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. And get this thing in there, which means we need to start with taking this front section off, which is super cool and quick and easy because it's just bolted on. So we're gonna do that real quick, and then we're gonna slap that in there. I gotta find all the hardware to put that back in here. So we're gonna do that in there, that in there, that in there, that in there, that in there. Nice. Engine's in, by the way. If you couldn't tell. 32 minutes, that was a terrible time. So a little bit of time has passed since the last clip you saw. So let me give you a little update. Now, I believe I showed you that the radiator, I got that in. I can't remember if I told you I got the lines in, but the lines are all made. And then also I plumbed the vent for the the fuel tank. So I got all that done, but also we've made a bit of progress up here. And I got the intake on, I got the alternator back on, belt line, all that stuff's hooked all back up. And you may notice this guy here, Ronnie got an AN fitting welded onto the thermostat housing, and I kind of mocked up a line here, but also a little remote oil filter setup. So since we are doing forward-facing headers on this, it would be really hard to clear the factory like outlet housing there, or inlet housing, whatever, on the block, and also clear the oil filter. So this gives us a bunch more room, and I might honestly heat sleeve these. It's not super expensive, and it's just good insurance to have on these lines. I mean, this isn't, the header and this like up pipe or whatever is not going to be that close, but just in case. Plus I'm looking into getting these Cerakoted, or all the exhaust Cerakoted, so that it's as cool as possible in the engine bay. But yeah, oh, and then also here, bring you guys under here. So that was my hand. All right, hold on. Here we go. Maybe we can see a little better over here. Okay, yeah. So there's the inlet for the block up there. That's going to be AN20. So it goes into the block AN16 because it's the only thing I can get to work with the MMR plate. But it's got a adapter or whatever, step down or whatever from 16 to 20. So oh my god, the phone's doing crazy stuff. Okay, so it'll go AN20, and the AN20 is going to go into a hard line that's going to run underneath the car. And this is my little mock-up line. I keep getting my fingers in this, so I'm just really good at that. Anyway, so yeah, it'll be hard line most of the way. So yeah, that's where we're at so far. Hold on, let me get out of here. Okay. So for right now, the next thing you should see is I'm going to I got some hard line for the fuel line right up here. And these unions and compression fittings. So we're gonna make our own hard line, and I have a bunch of AN8 as well for all the like connect. So the plan is there is a bulkhead that goes into the car here. So I'm gonna run a 90 from the bottom of this bulkhead into hard line underneath the whole bottom of the car. So the whole length of the car will run where the factory hard line used to be, come up here to the firewall, and basically stop right here with another fitting on it. And then I'm gonna do a 90 and just a short run of AN8 here. 8 AN, what do I say? AN8, 8 AN there. So that's the only real soft line that I need, minus at the surge tank itself. So yeah, anyway, a lot of talking, I know, but I just wanted to give you guys an update because obviously we've made some decent progress. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead, start making this hard line, and I'll show you guys that as soon as I'm done. You might be able to tell we're pretty good at time traveling here because this update is, anyway, I got the hard line done. So the fuel line, hard line fuel line, the fuel line that is now a hard line. Let me show you. So this is our short little jumper from the fuel rail down to our hard line. So that's 8 AN, and then we have it unioned into the hard line, which has a compression fitting. And our hard line runs where the factory one would have gone, which is right down through there. And it comes down through the wheel well, got it P-clamped off so it can't move or rattle around or nothing. It's isolated from the body. And then that bad boy runs under here, right next to the brake line, and I have it actually tied into the factory little stays right there. And then I'm gonna just get up and go over here. Might be a little easier. Check it out from this way. It's a little dark under here, but you should be able to see it. Yeah, there we go. So hard line up into the fuel filter,
And then that line goes up over the axle and then into the fuel cell here. I was gonna do a 90 up in here. I didn't have any, and there's enough room to make this nice smooth bend. So I went ahead and just did that just so I could get it done. And I don't see any problems with it. This is just a brace. This doesn't move, so we don't have to worry about this contacting here. There's plenty of room. And yeah, so that's where we're at with the fuel line. And now, honestly, now that we have all of this done, the fuel line, the drivetrain, now that everything is back in the car, it's actually ready to go back to fab. So we're going to end this video off here, and we'll see you next time, hopefully, if you want to see more updates on this. So the next step is get the front of the car back on. So I've got the rear already kind of mocked up and ready. We do need to mount the trunk lid, and I have an idea on getting the bumper mounted to the quarters, but nothing super crazy. The quarters are already like set up and ready to go for the rear. Just have a little bit to do on the rear, but the front we have nothing made up yet. No mounts or anything for the fenders, the hood, bumper, headlights, none of that. So that's when it's gonna go back to Ronnie for all that to get situated, mounted, and then once all that's mounted, we know our clearances, we know how all that's going to sit. It's time for a turbo kit. So I'll be taking him all the supplies, get it all, and he'll make it all there in house. So yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, give me a like. If you want to see more content, please subscribe somewhere in this area. I don't know, I'll put it somewhere in here. And if you want to let me know anything, just shoot me a comment. But until next time.